Today, I'm going to talk about the signs or symptoms of common nutrient deficiencies, and there's quite a few of them, and so I think it would be impossible for me to cover all of these in just one short. So today, I'm going to talk about probably the 4 or 5 that are probably the most common, and those are iron, vitamin D, B12, and magnesium, and I'll also touch on potassium. So let's go down the list. First symptom is fatigue. Okay, you feel tired, you feel fatigued. You get this sensation of lack of energy, kind of like mental burnout or physical burnout. What could be wrong? Well, iron is a big one. If you're deficient in iron, you're going to have problems with oxygen transport in your body because iron helps carry oxygen in the red blood cells. So if you're low in iron, you're not going to be able to get enough oxygen to your tissues and organs. So you're gonna feel tired, you're gonna feel weak. Also, B1 is another vitamin that can cause fatigue. Vitamin B1 is needed for carbohydrate metabolism. In other words, it's needed to help convert food into ATP, which is the energy currency of the body. So if you're deficient in B1, you're not going to be able to convert food into energy, so you're going to feel tired and weak. Now, vitamin D is another one that can cause fatigue. In fact, many people that have low vitamin D levels, they actually feel more tired at night, so they might have a problem getting to sleep, but then when they wake up, they just don't have any energy. Another symptom is muscle cramps. This could be because you're low in calcium, magnesium, or potassium. Let's take magnesium first. Magnesium is an electrolyte. Okay, and it's involved in a lot of different things, but one of the things it does is it helps regulate muscle contractions. So if you're low in magnesium, you're gonna have abnormal muscle contractions causing the cramping. Potassium is another mineral that's an electrolyte that can cause cramping if you're low in potassium. Now, this could also be from taking too much of an opposing mineral called aldosterone, which could be due to consuming a lot of salt, or a high aldosterone state could also be due to a problem with your adrenal glands where you're getting too much aldosterone. The next one is vitamin D. Vitamin D can also cause muscle cramps. And the reason why is because vitamin D helps regulate calcium. And so if you're low in vitamin D, you're not going to be able to absorb enough calcium, which then creates this imbalance with other minerals like magnesium and potassium, causing these cramps. Then we get to sodium. Sodium is the other electrolyte that's involved with this whole picture as well. Now, sodium is kind of unique because when you're low in sodium, you can get muscle cramps, but you can also get them if you're high in sodium. It all depends on the ratio of sodium to potassium. So the point is, you need the right amount of sodium, not too high, not too low, just right, along with the right amount of potassium. And the way you balance those two is just simply eating the right foods and not overdoing it with salt. But sodium deficiency can come from just losing a lot of sodium in your sweat. So if you exercise a lot and you don't replace the sodium, you may develop these muscle cramps. All right, next one is change in mood. Okay, this could be irritability, depression, anxiety, psychosis, even. What could be wrong? Well, this is usually due to a B vitamin deficiency. All right, next one is restless leg syndrome. Now, this is usually a deficiency in iron or copper. All right, next one is high blood pressure. Okay, this can be caused by a number of different things, but I'm going to touch on 2 minerals that are really important. One is potassium. If you're low in potassium, your blood pressure is going to go up. You see, potassium is a physiological relaxer of the arteries. So if you're low in potassium, the arteries cannot relax. They become very tense, and you get a constriction which increases blood pressure. So you need enough potassium. Another mineral that's important is magnesium. If you're low in magnesium, you're not going to be able to make enough nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a physiological relaxer of the arteries. So you need nitric oxide to keep the arteries nice and relaxed and open so that blood can flow freely and the pressure does not go up. So magnesium is important as well as other minerals like calcium, vitamin D, and vitamin K2. All have a role in helping to keep the pressure down. Now, if you're enjoying my content, which I hope you are, and you're applying this knowledge to your health and you have a success, I would really appreciate you sharing your success story. So click the link down below where you can upload your success story so you can help inspire others. Alright, next one is low testosterone. This could be caused by a zinc deficiency. Zinc is needed to help make testosterone. In fact, oysters have the highest amount of zinc, so men that go through life having a low zinc state may develop a low testosterone problem. Next one is low hydrochloric acid in the stomach. This can be due to a vitamin B12 deficiency. Or, a more severe situation could be a true pernicious anemia, where you need to take this B12 with something called intrinsic factor. But this is usually caused by an autoimmune problem. So, when you're low in B12, you're not going to be able to digest proteins. You're not going to be able to break down proteins, which is one reason why you may have gas after you eat protein. Another reason why you may have a low hydrochloric acid in the stomach is because you've taken antacids for a long period of time. So if you have a heartburn, you take an antacid, it works, but then you start taking it longer and longer and longer, you're going to eventually create a rebound effect, meaning your stomach is going to produce less hydrochloric acid. So then you have to take more of the antacid, which then creates a bigger problem because now you're going to irritate the pancreas, you're going to create more inflammation in the stomach, you're going to create more gastritis. So the point is just realize that taking these antacids, even though they work really quick to put out the fire in your stomach, it's not really the best thing in the long run. I would recommend that you do the H. pylori test and find out if you have this bacteria because that's really at the root of most of these problems. And you can get rid of it very easily with 2 herbs, garlic, and oregano oil. And I think I did a video on that, probably somewhere back here. The next one is bloating, gas, abdominal discomfort. This could be a lack of bile, which could be due to a vitamin A deficiency. Bile is made by the liver, but it's stored in the gallbladder. It has a function to emulsify fats. So if you don't have enough bile, you're going to end up with undigested fat in the intestines that creates a lot of discomfort, bloating, gas. This could also be due to a lack of pancreatic enzymes. If you don't have enough pancreatic enzymes, you're going to have a backup of undigested material in the pancreas that can create inflammation in the pancreas. So this is why it's important to take enzymes if you have this problem. This could also be caused by too much fiber. Yes, too much fiber can create gas and bloating, especially if it's not the soluble fiber. It's the insoluble fiber. This can create a lot of problems. I know a lot of people are consuming a lot of these high-fiber foods. I personally don't recommend that unless you know that you have a sufficient amount of microbes in your large intestine to be able to digest this fiber, because the fiber goes to the large intestine and the microbes ferment the fiber. And if you don't have the microbes, then you have this buildup of gas that creates the bloating and the discomfort. This is why, when you take a probiotic, it can relieve this problem because you're putting good microbes in there that can help digest this fiber. And last one is diarrhea. Diarrhea is usually a lack of bile. It could also be you're not producing enough hydrochloric acid in the stomach. It could be that you're not absorbing enough sodium or potassium. You could be getting an infection. Or it could also be that you're consuming too much sugar or you're going through a period of stress. And both of those can create problems with the colon. So you need more bile. Now the best way to correct any of these deficiencies is to follow a plan, personalized plan that takes a look at all of these different things. And we have a very comprehensive way of analyzing all of this. It's called the Adrenal Reset. It includes a book, it includes a food plan, it includes the right supplements, and of course a follow-up to make sure everything's working out for you.